Alright, back again. Sometimes in life we must bump, sometimes we must jump. Today it is Bump and Jump, developed by Data East, published by Vic Tokai. Tokay? I don't know how you pronounce it. It's just one of those, it's a Data East arcade game, so my expectations are not through the roof on this one, admittedly. We so far have no sound. Ah, there we go, there's the sound. Alright, so how do we bump and how do we jump? Looks like so far. Okay, we have a break. Okay, there's the jump. I assume the bump is right there. Alright, well, you do indeed bump and you do indeed jump. And there we go. We have died for the first time. That will be the first of many. Right away, this is, well, I'll just say this has Data East all over it. Just, a kind of general... Oh, hey, there's a 1-up, though. Hold on. Can I, like, push up and then, like, jump a little further? Because I was pulling back trying to land, on the land just before that. I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, this has Data East written all over it. It's just got the... not super... There we go. Not super polished look to it. Everything's just a little, it's a little on the basic side, I guess we'll say. I need to get the, I assume the P is for petrol, but we ran out. Bad news. Don't want to run out of petrol. I guess that's why we want to use the brake button a little more, so we can be sure that we can slow down in time to actually pick up the gas like that. Kind of. Yeah, there we go. That helped. It seemed to give me a very minute amount of gas, though. Oh, I got completely bumped away from that one, so I will jump away from them. Am I just going to be making jokes about bumping and jumping the entire episode? You got it. What? Okay, under repairs. What does that mean? Our front suspension is okay, our tail lamp is okay, our gear is okay, steering wheel okay, great. Don't want a broken steering wheel. Rear bumper okay, shock absorber. Jeez, you got a lot in this. High Zara. I assume I mean hazard lights. Engine is just good though. All repair finished. Well, that's got to be a good thing, right? I've never seen being repaired as a negative thing in video games. Unless maybe there's a game out there where the whole object is to just, like, be as broken as possible, which, I mean, that could be fun, actually. Alright, well, it's the end of level 1. I guess we kind of made it through somehow. Not all in one piece. We did lose some lives, but great. You crashed 14 cars. Bonus 4,200 points. That's where the bump part comes in. Of bump and jump, you see. You crash the cars, you get the points. Yeah, look at that. Barely made it over that wall. Good. Get ourselves a nice little can of gas there. Continue to bump more cars. You gotta kind of be the aggressor, you know, so you can stay in the driver's seat. Oh no, we got bumped off the road though. Game over. You know what? That's fair. All right, the built-in high score is 50,000. I made it to 10. Good start. It's all right. So it's a very, very simple game. Highly simple. The kind of game that I'm going to be kind of groaning when I look at the clock and I see that there's still 30 minutes left of this episode. But that's okay. That's okay. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. I appreciate all of these. I appreciate getting to try all of these. I appreciate living in a time where, like, I can literally just try any of them I want. It's incredible when you think about it. Like, imagine being a kid in 1988 and someone walks up and is like, hey, someday you'll be able to just download any of these games you want. They'll be like, what's a download? Oh, okay, well, I guess that tree in the middle of the road there, That's kind of created problems for me. I just want to not die too often, you know? That's what improving means. I am apparently just like magnetic when it comes to those, though. I don't think that's supposed to be a tree in the middle of the road. I think it's like a pile of toxic sludge or something. Either way, I gotta remember to keep my eyes out for that more often, because it's not like you're moving particularly quickly. Well, there I just didn't jump. That's a very early game over and a very shameful display. You like some of those games coming up on the sidebar? Some wild stuff coming up. And some very forgettable stuff. You can't have one with... Oh! Dumped it right in front of me. Garbage. So yeah, it's definitely not a tree, because I saw it come out of that truck. I gotta find a more solid way to avoid hitting that stuff. Oh! Okay. So now I know it is in fact dropped by those green trucks. So don't chase those green trucks, especially since you can't ram them off the road. You can just avoid them. Don't go near them. I do need some petrol, please. Thank you. That's exactly what I asked for, actually. Got bumped away from that one, though. Kind of upsetting that I jumped right over that one. There we go. That'll keep me alive, at least. Very good. We avoided whatever it is that truck is dumping. And there you go. End of the level. Best performance in a single level so far. We crashed 19 cars. I see no problems here. Back into scene 2. Now remember, don't let yourself get bumped. Just let yourself get jumped. Very good. God dang it. I was trying to specifically avoid it. Didn't come out that way. 240 kilometers an hour, by the way. If you read freedom units, I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know how to translate that into the backward system that the US uses. Dude, I even have to use it on like a regular basis. Like, we just don't use metric. And but even then, it's like, that doesn't mean that I know what any of this means. Like, what is a mile? Why do we use miles? Especially when you look at the, like, a conversion charts of, like, the metric system versus, nice. They passed level 2. Versus the system that we use. The conversions make absolutely no sense. They're all over the place. It's not just 1,000 to 1,000 to 1,000 to 1,000 to 1,000, which is very manageable. No, gotta make a whole scene out of it. Be like 12 inches to a foot, like a billion feet to a mile. That's a nasty little section right there. Well, we saw level 3 and then we instantly perished. Unsurprising. It's just how I roll in arcade games, you know? Can't get anything done. That's, I think, another aspect of what has made the Master System portion of this series so great is it's got minimal arcade conversions. There's one or two here and there, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, it's like, it's got a lot of real original titles on it. Or at the very least, you know, new and exciting clones of more popular titles, which have their merit in terms of if we're going through and kind of archiving everything, surveying everything. You know, like Is anybody going to tell you that Golvelius is the superior action adventure RPG-ish game compared to Zelda? I wouldn't call it likely. But witnessing it, seeing all of its eccentricities, all of its little quirks, it's fun stuff. Whereas here, it's like, welcome to Bump and Jump. And we haven't even made it into full shovelware hell yet. I'm kind of excited to make it into full shovelware hell, because I want to know just how dire things get. Oh, come on. Like, it's easy to look at it all and, like, look at the total game sheet and be like, oh yeah, it looks like a lot of bad stuff. But then sometimes you're like, ooh, wait, that thing wasn't bad, that thing was actually good. Or you actually play them all, and then because you play them all, it gives you a greater sense of time and scale, and then you're like, ah, that's just how much of this was dire. I don't know. I've been really enjoying doing this series. Especially lately, now that I've just kind of, you know, gotten into a better place mentally. I can just churn one of these out every day and doesn't even feel like doesn't even feel like I'm being forced to. There are some days where I put it off a little bit and then I do it like right before bed and whatnot, but for the most part I'm like, I'm good. Give me 1 second, I do have to check something. There we go. Done. I have checked what I needed to check. I've got a lot of kind of figuring out what I'm doing later this year. I bought a metric ton of concert tickets, and I'm like trying to get it straight in my head who's going to what concerts, who I can expect to see there, all that. Ooh, look at that! Look at that! 5,000 points for hitting that platform! Dude, I haven't done that before. Yeah, let's just jump out of the danger zone here. Yeah. I need to dodge it. I'm not going to intentionally go for that platform because, honestly, it's very dangerous. Probably not worth it most of the time. Well, if we're talking pure points, then yes, I guess it is worth it. If you were trying to high score hunt, bump and jump, I would first ask you what's wrong with you, and I would then tell you to make sure to hit the platforms. Like, even back in the day, was Data East ever, like, considered super pogged up? Or was it always just kind of like that other arcade company? I guess I don't know. That's the one thing that is of course difficult to tell in retrospect. It's just like, how much did people actually like this stuff back in the day? Because I can tell you what I feel about it now, you know, through the lens of having 30 straight years of video game history at my fingertips. More than that. Dude, has anybody made a Magnavox Odyssey emulator? I mean, it seems virtually pointless, because, you know, the thing could display, like, 2 lights and that's it. I thought briefly about, like, doing an Atari series, but then I also thought you cannot justify doing 60 minutes on almost any Atari 2600 game. But then I thought, maybe do, like, a 15-minute quick look kind of series with it. Then I could just like pump an episode of that out every once in a while. I don't know. Could be mildly interesting. But then there's the other issue in that Atari emulation, especially for games that use like paddle controllers, can be surprisingly fussy. Most games emulate fine, but the second you gotta use a paddle controller, there's no real graceful way to do it, and some of those games absolutely need paddles too. Like, I don't even think you can try to play games like a Kaboom without one. Okay, so this level is dangerous, is what I've learned from being here once, but we've been very clean in making it here. I just want to make it past scene 3, man. I just want to see what is beyond the lovely little town. I gotta say, these are very simple graphics on this level, but I do find it very charming. I think this is a very pleasing color palette, actually, with the little blue... I guess those aren't even rooftops. Are those, like, pools everywhere? Is this just the bougiest neighborhood ever? I don't know, but it's actually this is actually very appealing looking. Yeah, jumped on the purple truck. This is now. I think by jumping you do take up more fuel, and I'm running a little low on fuel. But there we go. That's what I needed. I don't like when the fuel spawns completely outside of where you can grab it. It seems a little questionable to me. Okay, this is a repair station again, so we can just chill for a little bit here. But yeah, if I had a way to really like make a paddle controller work, I think just a little like, hey, let's take a quick little glance at everything on the Atari. That could be interesting. And then culminate it all in the big Atari Jaguar, and everyone will be like, ooh, I've never seen that. And I'll be like, yeah, this was a real bitch to emulate with its bizarre controller that has like a phone number pad in the center. I will always be mildly upset that the Jaguar holds Alien vs. Predator hostage. That is such a good game for what is otherwise, such a bummer of a system. The biggest bummer of all is that it's like $500 for a Jaguar secondhand nowadays. Like, you could get a PlayStation 5 for the same price you could get a Jaguar. Pretty ridiculous. Stage 4, by the way, or Scene 4, I guess. As if they're trying to fool you into thinking that you're in a movie. Actually, it's a nice touch. It gets the people a little more hyped up for the video game, you know? Gives it a little bit more fanfare. I'm figuring it out a little bit more though. You gotta not be scared to abuse your jump a little more. Like if you're about to die, just jump. I probably should have not jumped there and gotten the fuel though. I'm still not sure if jumping uses more fuel or not. Oh, that was the end! That was the end, it was right there! Well, it's alright, we should respawn fairly close to the end, one would think. Or does it respawn you at the very start of the stage? I'm not 100% certain at this point. Yeah. Gosh dang it. It gives you... Ah! No, game over. It makes it all real awkward leading up to that point, so... Came close to beating the built-in high score. I think we'll manage it. We got a lot of video left here. Anyway. When I haven't been recording, I've been achievement hunting for the first time in a while. I tend to kind of stay away from achievements because I think a lot of the time it just gets frustrating trying to get some of them. But no, I've been achievement hunting in Forza Horizon 3. And for the most part, it's been fun. There were one or two that gave me a small aneurysm, but when the game itself is fun, so too is getting the achievements. Like, just worry about developing a game that is genuinely enjoyable to play, and nobody will ever be upset by it. Well, that's not true. There are some people who are just chronically upset by video games. And they're like, I need to play more. I was gonna say, we should be close to the end, right? Yeah, there we go. Good stuff. See, improving wildly compared to where I started. Didn't get a platform jump that time around, but, you know, again, that's just, it's too dangerous. Better to not die than to get greedy. Beautiful stuff. Not like that's a complicated jump, but, you know, I praise myself anyway. Somebody's gotta. This is actually, for how simple it is, I am having a decent amount of fun with this game. Just, I mean, if nothing else, it is one of the most honestly titled video games I've ever played. As you truly do just bump and jump. It's not fancy. Nobody's clamoring for a big fancy HD remake. It probably exists in like 17 different arcade compilation things. Oh, we landed right on the flag lady. Rip. It's alright, clearly we are an RC car because we are so small. You crashed 15 cars. Fortunately, none of them were your own. Alright, continuing on. Remember, this is where things get intensely spooky. Got a decent little soundtrack to it as well. I'm still not really, you know, one with Scene 3. It's still a little foreign to me, despite the fact that I have passed it at one point. Remember, this is when you learn you gotta start really abusing the jump. There we go, just like that. I wanted that. I wanted that fuel, but the game said no. The game said, Mom said it's my turn to have the fuel. And I said, why you gotta be such a little snitch, game? I thought I would have a little more turning power there. Clearly, we are in a Haas and not in a Red Bull. Call me Mazespin. Anyway, we just give it another go. That's the arcade way. Just keep trying over and over and over until you eventually make marginal progress. Oh, that was very close to being tragic. Of course, if that's the biggest tragedy that I have to deal with in my life, then I would say life has gone pretty well. I'm sure that there's like a real easy tell that you can use to make that platform jump every time, by the way. Been a while since I've been fooled by the toxic sludge, so good job, I guess, toxic sludge pickup thing. This is, you know, this is the obligatory mild regression period. This is where we just suck for a second, and then we pick it back up next attempt. It happens to the best of all time, too. Do you think that Billy Mitchell faked his Donkey Kong world record by not having a few failures? Nah, man. It takes hard work. Building up your lie to consistent levels. Ah, crap, I said it, now he's gonna sue me. I'm sorry, Billy, you're my favorite heel. I absolutely love that AEW literally brought in Billy Mitchell to generate heel heat for someone. Was it for Miro? Was that soon? I can't remember. But it was great. How do we get people to boo this man? Ah, I know. Put him in Billy Mitchell's... put Billy Mitchell in his corner. It's like absolutely incredible. In case you are unaware and not a massive nerd like me, Billy Mitchell is the former Donkey Kong world record holder who was outed for cheating. And he has not been a gracious loser about that, to say the least. He has not been quite as blatant about everything as the human element. Who I can't even remember his last name, Todd something. I just call him the human element. The story behind that, if you haven't heard it, is People found like just like super obvious ways to prove that his scores were faked, like being like, hey, we data mined the game and found that you literally can't get this score because of this, and this. And he was like, what these are not accounting for though is the human element. And it's like, oh, you're right, man, you're right. How could we have just not accounted for the human element? Never mind the fact that video games exist through a series of very strictly set up logic. That has nothing to do with the inputs of a human. If a game is programmed to do this, then it will do that and only that. But you're right, man. Human element. Human element. I gotta remember his name. It'll come to me. Todd Packer. The Pac-Man. No. And we're not talking like, he wasn't just like, oh, he cheated on like a King Kong run. No, it's like he was like several tens of thousands of points above everybody in every single game that he had a high score up for. It was like, it was comical. The fact that he got away with it for so long is honestly more funny than anything. But that's what happens when all of your friends are the moderators on the leaderboards. Good first level. I assure you, I am definitely not cheating. 24 cars crash. That's pretty good. 7,200 bonus points. I can live with that. Seems okay to me. I still don't quite know. Is all of the repair stuff when it's like, oh, your suspension's good and all that, is that just for flavor and then it just refuels you? Because that's what it feels like. By the way, I did also catch on that in that last stage, one of the trucks did drop a 1-up. I was way too far ahead of it. There was no way I was getting it. It's like, instead I'm going to risk dying in stage 2 for a laughably small amount of points. And then die again, and now be down to 1 life. And this is the kind of game where when it says 1 life, it means 1 life. It doesn't mean, oh, sorry, you'll still have 0 lives after this, so you're actually fine. No, we're on notice now. This is a charming game. I would say actually one of the more charming Data East games overall. Still, every bit as simple as I said it was initially. Oh man, there is some absolutely horrendous stuff coming up on the games list. Oh, no. Hey, you know, you can't experience sweetness without a little bit of bitterness now and then, I guess. It's been bugging me since yesterday. Ah, come on, man. Just jump when that happens. Why get into a fight that you know you're gonna get bumped off the road in? That's the question I ask myself right now. But it was bugging me yesterday. I'd made a reference to the episode of It's Always Sunny when Dennis and Mac went into the real estate business, and they had the like good cop, bad cop names. One of them was Vic Vinegar, and I can't remember what the other name was. I could easily just look it up. And I could have looked it up this once it was bugging me initially, but instead, you know, let's just ponder and be frustrated about it like they had to do in the good old days, back when Bump and Jump came out. Yeah, sure, I live in a world where I have pretty much all of human knowledge at my fingertips. I only use it to get into arguments about Reddit. Or arguments on Reddit as to whether Electronic Arts is as bad of a company as people say or not, which, for the record, I don't think it is. I remember years back when EA won the dubious award for, like, worst company in the US, and it beat out, like, a bank that had literally been illegally foreclosing houses that were, like, paid for. Like, there were not mortgages on them, and they were foreclosing them anyway. They somehow beat that out. They somehow beat Nestle out, which are, like, terrible in every single way. They beat Exxon out, you know. one of how many oil companies that has done irreparable damage through oil spills. And it's like, nope, EA, man, worst company in America because they put some microtransactions in Sim City. Just an appallingly bad company. Can't believe it. Just today, I saw somebody refer to EA as an evil corporation. I'm like, well, if you just ideologically believe that all corporations are evil, well then I guess, sure, you know, that makes sense. But if you're going to single them out specifically, I don't know, man. I mean, are they, like, actually, like, harvesting the blood of children? Are they, like, recycling homeless people to create, like, hex effigies or something like that? Is that where we're at? Personally, that's what I think of when I hear the word evil. EA, it's more like, yeah, they're another company. And people are always like, oh, but what about all the developers that they've killed? It's like, those companies were gonna die anyway, man. Game over again. It happens. Like, oh, but Pandemic. It's like, yeah, Pandemic were about to go bankrupt when they were bought out. And then after they were bought out, they continued to not draw money. Oh, but how about Westwood? Yeah, same thing. You read the interviews with Westwood's former president, he's like, yeah, dude, we were out. we were toasted. And it's like, oh, but they just put out some of their best games. Here's another sad reality news flash. Putting out a good game does not mean you have a bright future ahead of you. Happens all the time. A company puts out what is considered like their best game, and it just does not sell. Look at Prey by Arcane Studios. Absolutely outstanding game. Sold miserably. Does that mean that Arcane was a bad studio for it? No. They did their due diligence. But it was marketed badly, and nobody knew what it was, so nobody bought it. In spite of it being good. Yes! Whew, saved. Maxis? Maxis was on death's door before EA bought them out. I mean, look at one of the last games that they put out. Simcopter. One of their biggest mistakes of a game that they had ever put out. They lost so much money on Simcopter. It was too ambitious and was not good enough. Therefore, things are bad. Sometimes we even get examples of companies arguably failing because they were too good. Look at Bullfrog, another former EA studio. They were bought out by EA, and after they were bought out, they made both Dungeon Keeper games while under EA's watch, so it's not like EA was stifling their creativity, but the games were so original and so wacky that they just didn't sell. They weren't safe enough, therefore proving the notion that you do in fact have to appeal to casuals if you want to even stay alive. And I don't even mean casual in like a derogatory way. Nice run that time, by the way. Very good. Not a huge point scorer that round, but we made it through, and that's all I can really ask for. Let's see if I can make it to Scene 4. This Scene 3 still, I was gonna say, it's still spooky to me for reasons just like that. But no. The most recent, EA's the worst thing stemmed from being a confirmation from them that two of Codemaster's higher-ups left the company, and everyone's like, oh, CEA's already killing another company. It's like, whoa, yo, for one, you were all bitching about Codemasters for years, so why are you even sad about it? And secondly, in the video game world in particular, seeing executive exits after a buyout is fairly normal. Like, that doesn't really mean much. And they're like, oh, well, my company got bought out and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, yes, I did say specifically video games here. The furniture company that you work for does not operate the same. Oh god, I'm gonna... Ah, I missed my refueling platform! No! We're coasting! We're coasting! So I guess when you run out of fuel, you just can't jump anymore. But I died too many times at the start of that level. Early, foolish mistakes set me up for disappointment. Anyway. You may be asking now, like, oh, so you're an EA shill. No, not at all. If they put out a bad game, they put out a bad game. But here's the other thing. And I've said this before in videos as well. EA doesn't make video games. They just publish them. And people too often blame them when games are bad and ignore them when games are good. Aw, that was sad. That was a very sad jump right there. I shouldn't have jumped so early. But yeah. When Battlefield 4 launched, and it was in kind of a rough state, people were like, oh, EA, am I right? When Battlefield 4 got patched up and better, and was like, God bless DICE. And you could make arguments saying like, oh, well, the publisher sets release dates and all this and stuff and blah, blah, blah. It's like, sure. But as a developer, if you're given a deadline, it's also kind of within your wheelhouse to then readjust the expectations of the product and develop something that you know you can deliver. I'm not a developer, so easier said than done. You might be like, ooh, he's being the armchair expert now. Yeah, alright, you got me. You got me there. But, no. How, when you've got publishers like Take-Two and, Activision, I just don't see how it makes sense to single out... See, he dropped the one up way back there. I just don't know how it makes sense to single out EA as being particularly worse. They're all more or less the same. Ubisoft, Activision, Take-Two, they all do the same things. Heck, Nintendo does the same things, and no one really ever cares when they do it. Have we all forgotten how bad the microtransactions in that mobile Mario Kart game were? And you might say, oh, well, that's different. That's a mobile game. It's like, well, why are we giving it a pass? It's still a video game. I don't know. It's just... I am not convinced when I hear people be like, EA's the worst. I'm like, it's not the worst. It's not the best. But it's not like you have to be either the worst or the best. There exists a spectrum between the two. It is a company that has published good games and has published disappointing games. That's it. No more. No less. I don't even remember how I got on that tangent, but, you know. But yeah, I don't really make any purchases, at least any gaming purchases, based off of, like, a company's name. I'm not like, oh, this game looked cool, but it was published by this company, so I'm never gonna buy it. No, that's kind of silly. I wait for the game. Terrible. Terrible work from me there. I wait for the game to get some reviews. I wait for some gameplay footage to come out. I wait to see what it's all about, and if it's looking like something I want to play, then I'll play it. If it's looking like something that I'm not interested in, then hey, guess what? No big deal. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of different video games out there. And if a publisher puts out one that I'm not into, well, it doesn't matter at all, actually. I can just opt for one of the other games out there. I have no shortage. I can play them for the rest of my life and still not play everything I want to play. Which is depressing. I'll never get to play everything. What the heck? Which is why I'm doing this series, you know? 60 minutes of everything here and there. It weeds out the stuff not worth playing and gives me a taste of the stuff that is worth playing, so I can prioritize it accordingly. And maybe help you make the same decision. Maybe you'll see, hey, that episode of Bump and Jump looked pretty fun. I'll play Bump and Jump, and then you'll say, ah, but that episode of Power Strike, that was garbage, and I would tell you that's an incorrect opinion, but, I mean, whatever you want to think, man. Maybe my performance in Power Strike was garbage. That I wouldn't necessarily fault you for. Even then, it's a little harsh. Oh, yeah. I've learned landing on the trucks is a very good move. You don't want them to spill their green load all over the place. I'm keeping safe for the most part. Missed that fuel, so that's a tiny bit of a shame. We're getting there. Should be one more jump, right? Yeah. See? Got this level down pat. Landed directly on her this time, not just on her flag, but like... Poof. There's nothing left of that poor flag-bearing woman. Rip Serena Williams. Alright, this level is bad. Well, it's not bad, I should say. I'm bad at it, which is basically the same thing as being bad. You make me look like a fool, well, that's on you, level. I'm just like, get as many fuel canisters as you can. That would have loved to have gotten that fuel, but I was more concerned with preserving myself. We jump there, we don't... Ah! Come on, I was just gonna say we don't get bumped off the edge. We do get bumped off the edge, unfortunately. It is still a thing that happens. Ah. The worst part is, like, the one time that I did get to stage 4, I just botched the ending over and over when I easily could have made it through. Okay, this is the most promising stage of the level. This is, I believe, home stretch. Yeah. Yes! Okay, saved it. Saved it. I knew to slow down because I realized I jumped way too early and whoo, baby. Okay, I have, I think, one good life left in my pocket. Yeah, I do. Okay. Stage 4. Can we get past it this time? No guarantees. Run the bulldozer out of here. By that I mean just land directly on it. And the greatest bit of family-friendly violence you've ever seen in video games. I remember one time when I was young, I had stayed with my aunt for a little bit. She didn't live like super far away, but you know, like an hour and a half away. Far enough away to where I didn't see her super often. And my mom... I've been tricked by that so many times. Remember, the exclamation point is there for a reason. But anyway, my mom had made sure... Well, because we had planned on renting a PlayStation 1. My mom was like, remember... Oh, yeah, the rock! That was the biggest trap of all time! That was rude! That was incredibly rude! Oh, no! I realized it, like, as I was driving into it. Oh, no. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we're gonna rent a PlayStation 1, and my mom had clarified, hey, remember, no violent games, and she told my aunt that. But my aunt took that far too literally. Hold on. And that meant any violence, which meant we couldn't play Crash Bandicoot. So we were stuck with Need for Speed, which is a great game, and Jeopardy. Now, Jeopardy now to me is like, yeah, inject that into my veins. That's good shit. Jeopardy when you're like 11 years old or something like that, is a little bit less enticing, you know? You feel kind of betrayed. You're like, what is this? This is all that we get? So that was an amusing little memory that stuck out in my head. I'm like, come on, don't take it that literally. By no violence, you meant like no Mortal Kombat. Everyone knows that. That's what violence means. Like, we own Lost in Space on DVD. I can handle a little bit of, you know, Crash Bandicoot doing the whole spinaroo on you. Lost in Space. Now, there's a movie that I don't want to revisit because I know it'll just be disappointing. I'm talking, that's right, the reboot with Matt LeBlanc and Gary Oldman. What a weird cast. It's good stuff. It's actually terrible stuff. But as a kid, that may as well have been the greatest movie ever. I loved Lost in Space. I mean, the giant robot that they wake up to fight the alien spiders. Coolest robot I had ever seen. It's still super cool, honestly. The design for that thing was top shelf. By far the greatest thing about that movie. But yeah, I can't bring myself to watch it today because I'll be like, what? It's bad? Screw that, by the way. I thought I was well enough out of the way, but no, bumped right into it. Terrible. Yeah, and here's the end of the level. See, I could have made it to the very end. Interesting place to land there. But yeah, Lost in Space. That was like a GOAT film for child me. It didn't get better than that. Watched that so many times. I don't even know if I ever really knew what was going on. All I knew, the Space Monkey was funny, and the action scenes were great, and Spider-Smith scared me. I always looked away from the TV because I thought he was so scary. Something that undoubtedly would get me bullied by my wife these days. But she's never seen it, so I'm in the clear. Aw, dang it. I jumped clear over the petrol. Oh, man. And now it's just spawning all of it off the road. That is one thing that this game needs patched in. It needs to spawn the gas in places where you can get it. So, next patch, please. Oh, we're good! I'm really surprised I made it to the end of that one. Okay, we again go into stage 4 with 1 life. Jesus. It seems like the trucks dropping the 1-ups seems to be pretty much entirely random. I've seen it happen maybe 3 times total. So that's a little... Oh, come on. I thought for sure I was fine there. We're never going to see scene 5. I'm sorry. I said it would probably happen. I gotta learn not to make promises that I can't keep. Oh, no, that wasn't a promise. That was like a... That was a maybe kind of ordeal, which everybody knows. If you say you're maybe going to something on Facebook, that means you have no intention of going. So, your fault. Your expectations were all out of whack. Sorry. They're setting me up with all this practice to get past those barriers without having to jump them, which you need to do at the very end of the stage, and I'm just kind of ignoring all of those opportunities. I'm just saying, nah man, I'll jump them every time. Boy, I shouldn't be alive right now. Look at that, though! Yes! Yeah! I lied! We're seeing scene 5. Just took me 50 minutes of practice. Oh, baby. Nowhere near beating the high score. Oh no! Where are we now? It's another level. Oh no, not another level. Oh, look at that triple kill there. You know, I didn't think I would have been bumped so intensely after landing on that triad of cars, but at least we made it there. That was really my long-term goal, was make it to Scene 5, which for all I know is the final scene, and I just completely bombed it and failed to beat the game. Anyway, if you really want to beat the game, then, you know, just use save states. Make it cripplingly easy. I mean, you still gotta actually beat the stages when you get there, but beating them in a bubble is not so hard. Beating them all consecutively, that is when things get difficult. Haven't you ever played a video game before? Yeah! The reflexes on this man right now. I have now set myself apart as the ideal mate. Thank you. Beautiful. Good stage 1. Scene 1. Sorry, I keep appropriating the incorrect language. Or utilizing the incorrect language. I don't know. I can barely talk on the best of days, you know. It's funny, because actually I am typically alright at speaking. I have a reasonable vocabulary. But, you know, when you've got a live mic on for 60 minutes, weird things just come out. We are still talking about language, by the way. Just to keep that well clarified. Maybe they haven't been dropping 1-ups because I've been destroying them. That could be the answer. Maybe there is actually like a consistent set of trucks. Hey, that's a 1-up, baby! I didn't even ask for it. It just, you know, it said, I heard you were talking shit. You didn't think that I would hear it. I'm like, well, I'm glad you showed up then. And jump number 3, signifying the end of the... I couldn't have jumped to get over the truck, by the way, because then I would have just crashed right into the wall of the end of the level. You see, I was put in a very unfortunate set of circumstances there. An animal in a predicament, to be sure. Is this really a nasty truck spawn? Ooh. Drove right into her butt. Scandalous. Okay. I know. Why am I choosing now to be focused? It's a real good question. I will get you an answer. Maybe someday. Shouldn't have jumped. But again, you know, I'm in that better safe than sorry kind of stage here. I've been greedy enough to know that I should curb my greed. Here we go. It's a nice little can of well, it says pee, so I guess we're gonna call it a piss bucket. Look at me. That right there is the bump and jump performance of the day. Can I break the high score? I still have like 5 minutes of gameplay left, you know? That's plenty of time to break the high score. By break, I mean match. at best. May I say, I am not typically in the, oh, I hate the Kardashians camp. I mean, yeah, reality shows are annoying, and they kind of are just famous for the sake of being famous, but if there's... I think the number one worst thing that they contributed to the world was coining the term break the internet. I don't even know if they coined it, but it's certainly most popular thanks to that Kim photo shoot. Every time somebody uses that term, I'm like, go rot. Just like how every time someone calls something viral, I'm of the opinion that if you have to tell people that it's viral, it's probably not as viral as you wish it was. Ah, come on! Oh, big giant rats. I just want 5,000 points, man, which means beating this stage, which means playing not like that. Well, that's just like that. All of my dreams shattered in front of my face. Shattered Dreams Productions right there. I just got Goldust on the mind because I see WWF WrestleMania on the games list ahead of where you can see it. Yeah, that's right, I've stopped being so coy and secretive about what's coming up because I realized that if you really want to know, you can just look up the Wikipedia list and do it yourself. I was setting up a bunch of lists in like local spreadsheets, or Google Sheets rather, so I didn't have to keep going to Wikipedia for all of them, and then I could like sort them in the way I wanted. And I very quickly realized the Game Boy Advance page is the most abhorrently documented one of them all. Like, almost every single game on that list has the year that it came out, and that's it. It's like, dude, that's just not going to be good enough. If I ever make it to that point, which will not be for a great many years, mind you, that's but if I ever make it to that point, it's like I'm gonna have to like completely redo this and find out these release dates, or else it's just gonna be sloppy. Now, fortunately, I'll have many years to figure that out. So that could be an ongoing project. The Game Boy Color one was also really awkwardly set up with a lot of missing release dates. I don't know why the NES is so much better documented than those more recent systems. Oh, you know, probably because it's because they're handhelds and no one curs. Got me there. But they're the blessed handhelds. That's not the blessed maneuver. That's happened so many times. You'd think I'd learn, but no. I'm not about that learning stuff. Yeah, this has actually honestly been one of the better Data East games, though. It's certainly nothing impressive by any metric, but it's fun enough, honestly. I mean, it's kind of a subversion of what arcade games tended to be at the time, which was, hey, make sure you don't ever hit anything. This was more like, hey, dude, just, like, go nuts hitting everything. Except for, you know, the walls. Avoid the walls, please. But it's just, it's bumper cars in a straight line. And there's something mildly enjoyable about that. She has impaled us with her flag. What a sentence. I know you're all just dying to see Superman. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about NES Superman. It's Superman 64 that gets all of the glory, in air quotes. Must just mean that the NES one is too staggeringly mediocre to even warrant being picked on. Which really is kind of a more depressive life cycle than being universally reviled. At least when you're universally, like, reviled, you kind of have a place in infamy. You know, like, it's fun to hate Superman 64. It's not fun to even mention Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is visible on my list, and I'm real horrified of that notion. Remember, that was one of the first Angry Video Game Nerd videos that I've ever seen, and I think that's one of the few nerd videos where his exaggerated take on it is actually completely justified and in full alignment with its real-life performance. Well, anyway, that's the game. That's 60 minutes. I can't play anymore. It's against all laws of humanity to continue playing. I've committed to the bit, so that's where we are. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. As far as Data East games go, I got minimal complaints. What else do you want from me? Yeah. Play it, I guess. You don't have to play it forever. Just, give it a little bump here, a little jump there, and you'll be good to go. I shall add it to my list of rankings so far. It just looks like a alphabetical list, but we'll get past that point eventually here. Before we get to that next game on the list there, aha, you see it, we're going back to the Sega Master System, and we will be playing R-Type. Yeah! Oh, that's going to be great. I'm very excited for R-Type. R-Type is an all-time classic. Absolutely worth all of your hype. So join me for R-Type. I can't guarantee that I'll be any good at it, but it's a great game, and that should make for a great episode automatically. Plus, it's me, so that's your guarantee right there. All right, well, thank you as always for watching. We'll catch you next time.